If I had $1 for every time somebody requested me to make a FNAF movie review, I would have $5. And that would be the most amount of money I would make from doing YouTube. So here is the FNAF movie review. I guess you would call it that. Let me not beat around the bush here. Please take this video with a grain of salt. I'm not too heavy on the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. The most I've played the game was the first, the second, the third, the fourth. I never played Sister's Location. I never played the sixth one. Didn't play FNAF World. Pretty much when it came to Five Nights at Freddy's 4, that's the last game I played. And then I played a little bit of the VR. I actually played it yesterday, and yeah, almost shat my pants. But we're getting sidetracked. The movie. Leading up to the release of Five Nights at Freddy's, I set my expectations extremely low. We all know how video game movies do. Unless your name is Super Mario Brothers the movie, then yeah, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna suck. I'm gonna try my best to avoid any spoilers. There's a lot in this movie to spoil. From plot, from events, from freaking cameos, to just lore, and there's just a lot to spoil. There's one thing I am gonna say about this movie, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I feel like I didn't see the main star himself, Freddy Fazbear, enough in this movie. I swear to you, Chica's Cupcake had more screen time than Freddy Fazbear himself. This man had more action than the main star himself, from what I remember. So yeah, the Cupcake having more action than Freddy Fazbear himself kinda combats what I was gonna say about the movie having a lot of fan service. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie does have a lot of fan service, but the Cupcake being the main star in some situations, in most situations, kind of combats that, because I'll be completely real, not a lot of people care about the Cupcake. I don't care about the Cupcake. You probably don't care about the Cupcake. We care about the main 3 crew, 4. Don't forget about Foxy. We care about the 4 originals. And I don't know why I'm going on a tangent about the Cupcake. Man, he just had too much action, bro. Like Chica. There was like moments where Chica could have been the one to get the kill, but the Cupcake did instead. Like, what sense does that make? So yeah, that's the one thing I didn't like about the movie is this fucking Cupcake. He's just annoying. Now, one thing I know about making this review is that I'm going to trigger some FNAF fans, but I'm just gonna say this up in front. The movie does a okay job with its horror, and I totally understand why. The movie is rated PG-13, and the franchise caters to a younger audience. So of course they're not gonna go all out with their horror. There are some times where it does feel like they're going full out just horror mode. Just like let's just scare the crap out of these 10-year-olds. And when they do a pretty decent job at it. Now, do not come to this movie expecting to have a full buffet of just straight horror, because the movie is not going to give it to you. And another disappointing thing about the movie, I will say, they almost completely disregarded what built the franchise. That was its jump scares. There was like almost no, I can't remember any freaking jump scares except the one time when they showed the scene in the trailers. Corey Kenshin. Why do I always get the weirdos? That is like one of the only jump scares I can remember. And the movie is roughly around 1 hour and 50 minutes long. So it's about 2 hours. Yeah, within 2 hours, you get like what, 2 jump scares. Jump scare per hour, which is pretty disappointing. Not gonna lie. Like, I'm honestly trying to think of every single jump scare they did. I think they did like what, 2 or 3 Balloon Boy jump scares and 1 Golden Freddy jump scare. And that's all I can remember. That's all I can remember. We're gonna try to get every single like negative point I have about this movie out of the way. We're gonna get every just every negative thought I have this movie out of the way, so I can just end off on a good note, right? So another thing about the horror, it's just mainly the horror that I have critiques about, and another thing that's not horror related, and I'll get into that in a second. The movie is not uncanny, and that's another thing about the franchise. The games are built around the uncanny nature of animatronics. There was only one instance where I felt they did an extremely good job at having that analog uncanny feel. And that was when the security guard, Mike, went to the pizzeria for the first time and he watched the tape about the place. It gave me that feeling like I was watching the old FNAF VHS tapes like around 2 years ago. They did a pretty good job at that. But as far as everything else, that's pretty much the only uncanny thing you're gonna get throughout the entire movie. Okay, so here is the last point. This movie is very lore heavy. Like if you are a diehard FNAF fan, then you ate good. You ate very good. But if you are somebody who's like me, who doesn't give a rat's ass about the lore and just want to enjoy what's happening currently in Five Nights at Freddy's, then you're gonna be a little bit confused. So yeah, you're gonna have to be thinking outside of the box when watching this movie, which can be enjoyed by some people, but for most people, that's just gonna cause confusion. And one thing I hate about movies is when somebody is confused and they're next to me asking a bunch of questions. And another thing I hate is the person to my right telling me everything about what's happening in the movie. So yeah, I don't know why I added that in there. I just feel like if I was to go watch this movie in the theaters, I didn't watch this movie in theaters, by the way. Can you believe that? Yeah, you can. I bet you can. But yeah, if I was to go watch this movie with a person who doesn't know anything about FNAF, and a person who's just all about FNAF, it'd probably be like the worst thing ever because he'll be asking me questions, he'll be telling me everything, and I just be like, yo, shut up and just watch the damn movie. And I just feel like this movie will cause that problem. So we finally got all the negative stuff I wanted to say about this movie out of the way. So now let's talk about the crew. And you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, you behind the camera. You know who I'm talking about. Let's talk about these animatronics. Man, oh my god. If there's one thing that's good about this movie, it's these animatronics. Oh my Jesus Christ. Like the design is like almost, I'm not even gonna say almost perfect. The design is perfect. Like these animatronics are so accurate to the T. Like every movement, every molecule, just every minor design, like every minor detail about the animatronics in the video games were just brought to life in the movie. Like it just baffled me to see. And let's talk about the actors that were under the animatronics. Bro, you could not tell if it was an animatronic or a human. You have to have a keen eye for that. Let me just get this out the way. The main actor for the protagonist of the movie, he was definitely a highlight of the movie for me. He did a very good job. But talking about the main character, but another point that I forgot to bring up about this movie, and the movie's pacing is very, very questionable. It I'm gonna just get this. I'm gonna get the first scene out of the way. Spoiler warning. Just get that out of the way. Um, the first scene. Mike, Mike tackles a dad. He tackles a dad and beats the crap out of him in a water fountain because he thought that the man was kidnapping a random child. In the next scene after, Michael's pulled into an office, and of course, they I'm gonna assume his manager is talking to him about the situation for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then after that, they just brush that whole entire scene about Mike beating the crap out of some random dude in the water fountain. They just brush that under the rug. Yeah, they don't mention it at all after the movie. So yeah, the pacing's a little questionable, and there are some other points like that in the movie, but I'm not going to try to spoil any more for those who want to watch the movie. And of course, you can't have your video game movie without a nice hint of Easter eggs. And there was a good chunk of Easter eggs in this movie. I'm not gonna point them out because, of course, it kind of counts as a spoiler. So you need to go find them yourselves. Honestly, there was almost no point of me mentioning that because I didn't say any Easter eggs. But there's also some good cameos. Again, I'm not gonna say anything about the cameos because that kind of counts as spoilers. But there is a good number of cameos, like I said. I did mention one in the video. Of course, everybody knows Corey Kenshin's in the movie. He was in the trailer. So that's the thing. Hopefully Corey Kenshin comes back. The movie's released, and we still didn't get an upload yet. I don't think we got an upload. I gotta to look. I have to look in his channel. But yeah, Corey, where you at, bro? Where you at? There's no more FNAF movie. What's the excuse, bro? What's going on? I'm about to start making spooky scary Sundays for every Sunday this man doesn't upload. That sounds like a pretty good idea. That sounds like a pretty good idea. I ain't gonna lie. Let's actually get into the meat of this movie, right? Now, take this how you will. This can either be a good thing or a bad thing to you, but I feel like this movie doesn't know what it wants to be. There's times when it's a horror movie, and there's times when it's a freaking detective movie, and there's times when it's just a whimsical, goofy little children's movie. Now, I guess I'm all for it, because like right now, Five Nights at Freddy's, the franchise, is just one of those, situations. It's just one of those situations to where you just never know what to expect from it. Like, you can open a pizzeria simulator and expect it's just a fun little whimsical game, and 2 seconds later, you are getting jump scared. Or you're playing an entire game where you're running around a pizzaplex and there's no horror in it. And the franchise is, it's supposed to be a scary franchise, right? Or, you can play a RPG game that's based around, horrifying animatronics that have been trying to kill you for the past 5 years. Or like it's just, this game is like roll not game. This franchise is just like rolling dice, and the movie just decided to go for everything. Which is why I said take it how you will. Because I know a lot of FNAF fans like that, oh, you don't know what to expect from this franchise. And there's also a lot of FNAF fans that just don't like the random quirkiness about the franchise now. They just want to go back to the horror. Just like, what happened? What happened to the FNAF scary stuff, man? Like, come on, man. We just need it. Yeah, so it's a very, I just feel like the community is very divided. And the movie portrays it very well. Where did I get this ball from? Don't even ask. Magic powers, you know what I mean? The magic of editing. Look, now it's gone. So I pretty much said what I had to say about this movie. It's a lot of eye candy for fans, which means it's very fan servicey, which means that people who don't know much about the franchise, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to really like it. Which kind of makes sense. Look at the critic reviews. None of the people don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, so they're gonna critique it how they critique every single freaking movie, which kind of baffles me sometimes. Like, the 24% is kind of fucking crazy. So yeah, my main problem with the movie is that it tried to cater to every single fan of the franchise, which was not going to work. Let's be honest. So instead, what they did was take the best part of every single part of Five Nights at Freddy's. And what I mean by that is like, oh yeah, let's take the horror and try to do the best we can with that. Let's take the random goofy stuff with the franchise, and let's try to do our best with that. Let's do the detective stuff and try to do the best with that. Let's do the lore, and it just became kind of messy. Pretty much for your average FNAF fan, this is a W movie. But for your average Joe, meh. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I will say one thing though, spoiler alert. My favorite scene in the movie was in the very end. William Afton and the spring lock failures. They did a very good job at portraying that. They did a very good job at portraying that, actually, because I was thinking to myself, okay, I got a little scared at first because that scene was supposed to be him in agonizing pain alone, right? And they started showing some spring lock failures when it was a lot of climax going on. Like, a lot. There was all the animatronics surrounding him, like freaking the main characters and stuff like that. I was like, this is not how the spring lock failure looked. He was in a room just chilling. Not chilling. He was just in a room on his own, just, dying on the inside. And they showed it. They showed it at the very end. I was like, thank God. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I didn't trigger any FNAF fans. And yeah, that's it. This is Yamo ASAP signing out saying peace.